Hey everybody, welcome to a new Destiny 2 build video. Today we're looking at the brand new Matai Doxia exotic chest piece for Warlock. Now you can of course get this chest piece for completing the legendary campaign, which to be honest isn't too difficult. The campaign only has 7 total missions and overall relatively easier depending on if you're using a decent build. Now if you don't have this exotic chest piece, you can actually use this build pretty easily just depending on how much of the actual stuff you've gotten for the brand new Prismatic subclass. Now I really enjoy the subclass a lot, and honestly the build is super fun. It's fun being able to use stuff from every single subclass to come together and be a really powerful overall build. Without further ado, let's get into what you're going to need for this build to work. So first, let's get into what different abilities, fragments, and aspects you need. Now for the super, I use the Song of Flame. It's a brand new super that you get for just going in the campaign with your Warlock. Now the other ones aren't bad, but I'd say in terms of overall damage to bosses and ad clear, this is the best. So I just use the Song of Flame super, very good. Now for abilities, I use the Healing Rift. You can of course use the Empowering Rift if you want, but I'd say Healing Rift is great for survivability, and with one of these aspects it works really well. Next, I use the Arcane Needle. Now I use the Arcane Needle because it works really well with this exotic armor. Basically what this exotic armor lets you do is every time you throw a needle, it'll hit the enemy and it'll basically suspend the enemies in the air. So it works a lot like the Strand Grenade where you throw it at the enemies and it'll suspend a bunch of the different enemies. This one works really well against just normal ads, and if you want to suspend a higher tier enemy, you have to shoot all 3 of your needles, but honestly getting your needles back is pretty darn easy right now. For grenade, I use the Vortex Grenade. You could switch it out with the Storm Grenade because that's maybe a little bit better depending on the situation, but for the aspects, I think Vortex Grenade is the way to go. Now for aspects, I use the brand new Helion Warlock ability. Now every time you use your Rift, you're going to get a Solar Mortar which shoots at the enemies. Very powerful. It's a lot like the arc projectile that'll shoot at the enemies when you use your rifts, but this one shoots a little bit slower but does a little bit more damage. Overall, it's basically just as good. The arc one may be a little bit better, but this works really well for this Warlock subclass. Next, I use the Feed the Void aspect. Now with this, you defeat a target with any ability to activate Devour, and your Devour effects are improved, restoring additional health and grenade energy. Basically, you get your grenade back a lot faster, and it's a lot easier to kill ads quicker. Now onto the fragments. Now once we get more fragments unlocked, I'm sure you may want to change some of these around, but these are the 5 best ones and easiest ones to get. First is the Facet of Balance. So rapidly defeating targets with light damage grants melee energy. Rapidly defeating targets with darkness damage grants grenade energy. This is basically just as simple as it gets. It sounds a little bit more chaotic, but just dealing damage and killing enemies will give you your melee and grenade energy a lot faster. Next is the Facet of Courage. So your Arc, Solar, and Void abilities deal increased damage to targets affected with the darkness debuffs. Basically, you're just dealing more damage overall in general. Next is the Facet of Protection. So while surrounded by combatants, you are more resistant to incoming damage. While transcendent, the effect is increased, give you more resistance to incoming damage. Next is the Facet of Purpose. So picking an Orb of Power grants either Amplified, Restoration, Frost Armor, Woven Mail, or Overshield based on the damage type of your equipped super. So basically just picking up Orbs of Power are going to grant you Restoration. Next, and the last one, Facet of Ruin. So increases the size and damage of the burst when you shatter a Stasis Crystal or frozen target, and increases the area effect of Solar Ignitions. So once you have all that, you'll want to get the Matai Doxia exotic chest piece. Overall pretty darn good. You have another option for a helmet, which is honestly very useless, so I imagine everyone's picking this one. Now the mods honestly don't really matter. Obviously I take arc resistance because a lot of the high damage good bosses are dealing arc damage, but honestly the mods aren't that important with this. I'd just say get some outreach, bomber, distribution mods on your bond, and then the rest is honestly up to you. Heavy ammo finder is good for higher up activities as well as heavy ammo scout. Definitely get your resilience up to 100 for survivability. Basically, this armor works really well with the brand new subclass because you're not forced to use just Strand. So we're able to use the one portion of Strand that you want, the Arcane Needle, and it works perfectly with all the other abilities. So without further ado, let's get into how this actually works. Now I'm playing one of the missions in the legendary campaign just to show you how effective this combo is in higher difficulty activities. It's basically just grab all the abilities you can, spam them, use them really well. See, I use my Rift here, and the brand new Mortar ability is really nice. You can just run around, and it has that splash damage effectiveness for multiple enemies at a time. Now you can see here, I throw my Strand ability, and it easily knocks up the others like the Grapple Grenade. That's why I like it so much. It's basically like using 2 grenades at once because it grapples enemies so easily. It's effectively like I'm using 2 grapple grenades. Or 1 grapple grenade and a void grenade at the same time. And then here's the super. It's really nice. You just spam your grenade and your flicking ability. And you just get to use abilities fast. You can do fast damage to the big bosses as well as doing really nice ad clear. Now I've been saving my grapples up, so now I have 3, so I can show you how it works against the higher tier enemies. Another really nice thing about this build and using this subclass is that shields don't matter all that much because you have basically abilities for every single shield. Now obviously you might be missing 1 or 2 here or there, but honestly it doesn't really matter as long as you can get your abilities off fast enough. Bam, throw my grenade, get a bunch of kills here. Again, you can switch your grenade if you don't want to use the vortex grenade. All of them work really well. My favorites are, of course, the lightning grenade and this grenade. Alright, so let's use all 3 of my strand abilities. Oh no, I missed one. Well, you can suspend him if you get all 3. And that's the build. Let me know how you would improve on it. I really enjoy it how it is. It's very fun to use, and it's new and enjoyable. Let me know down in the comments below if you enjoyed this kit, this build guide. I'll see you in a future video. Peace out.